Hi, Rachel. How you doing?
Doing well. So I know that we're colleagues, and I already have a little bit of history and background, but just for the sake of practice and making sure that I kind of check all the boxes, give me a little bit about what's going on and what you would like to work on today.
Yeah, so there was an incident that happened a little over a month ago that you were actually present for, which is one of the reasons I really want kind of trust you to do this piece of work. So as I shared with you, I have a really hard time sometimes setting up for a training in the morning.
Okay.
If I don't feel I have adequate time to get set up, to get cooled down and get grounded, then I feel like I'm just totally frenetic and I'm not in a good enough place to actually begin the training.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned that a lot of that is not necessarily a bad thing, to get there, to get early, to get grounded, because I do generate a lot of natural heat. But whenever there's this tendency for me to feel rushed, like, you know, some of the buildings we train in don't let us in until 7:30.
Right.
And then participants are coming in at 7:30. And so it was this training we did a couple weeks ago now, I guess it would have been. And you were there. You saw kind of how activated I got.
Absolutely.
When a bunch of different things were coming at me at once. And I think things went fine by the time we got started and I rolled into it. But yeah, I definitely remember how you and Tom said, yeah, like, you definitely got activated. There's something there.
Sure.
And the more and more I thought about it, I dropped two things that morning. I dropped my golden milk, which is this real orangish beverage that people know it's there when I'm drinking it. And I spilled that on a counter as the lady, the host of that agency, was kind of asking me all kind of questions.
Yes.
I spilled it. And then later I ended up dropping my keys. And as you guys kind of called me out on it and I made some connections, that nervousness, that freneticness, that gets worse when I drop stuff. And I think it ties to old messages about being clumsy, not being very coordinated. And then, you know, wondering if there's shame around that with my dissociation. And so, yeah, it's that whole dropping things, clumsiness, having this tendency to get me more worked up.
Gotcha.
That's the basics of it.
Okay. So knowing this and knowing that we're going to work on it, what would you say you would like to get out of doing this work today?
I mean, I just think deeper insight into what this is about, because it would be awesome in my life going forward if I didn't beat myself up so much when I drop things. Because even if, I think a few days later, when you and Tom and I were at lunch, I ended up dropping my keys again or something, and I felt that gut, you know, you clumsy, stupid fool. And I just dropped my damn keys.
Right.
But it still can, and I noticed that happens whenever I drop things, and I drop things often. But it still kind of has that, I'm clumsy. But that coming with a lot of loaded.
Still has charge.
Yeah.
There's charge there. Okay.
So if I can work on being kinder to myself when I drop things, I think it'll just help me in life. And if it is connected to some deeper stuff that would help me just stay more grounded and calm in the morning, especially when I set up for a training, because you know that's a big part of my life.
Of course.
That would be fantastic.
Lovely.
Okay.
So it sounds like you kind of have already found your target memory from that training.
I don't think that's necessarily the target memory as much as like the target cognition would be more I'm clumsy.
I'm clumsy.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And yeah, I'd be curious for you to legit like float that back with me. Because you know, after we all kind of did some fact finding around it, it's specifically dropping things.
Okay. So the negative belief of I am clumsy.
Yeah, I think let's start there as a basic and we'll see where this matrix takes us.
Let's go.
As you like to say.
Absolutely. Okay. So with the negative belief of I am clumsy, looking back over the course of your life from the very beginning, when was the first time that you remember believing I am clumsy?
Wow. I think I was going to go there. It was when I first tried to learn how to ice skate. Okay. I was 5 years old. My babysitter, Carrie Ann, took me, although my father was there as well, because it was at Rocky Ridge where there was sledding and all of that. And I really wanted to skate. You know, I ended up learning how to skate and skating well and all of that. But that first time, just clinging to the side of the rink and feeling like it should have been easier than that. That was the first.
Okay. So, looking over the course of your life from the very beginning, when was the worst time that you believed, I am clumsy?
I'm not drawing on a specific,
okay,
but just a general sense of it always being an issue for my parents, with both my brother and I. Because Paul would get all messy with stuff. It may have been the beamed in the head with the fastball comment that my dad used to make. I think that would probably be the big representational one.
Okay.
Like, Jamie falls or Jamie drops things because she's walking around looking like she's beamed in the head with a fastball.
Okay.
And that's a statement I often associate with my dissociative stuff.
Gotcha. All right. So, looking over the course of your life from the very beginning, what was the most recent time that you believed, I am clumsy?
Probably whenever the last time was I dropped my keys, which was a few days ago. But yeah, we can go with that Portage training, spilling the golden milk
was the most recent.
On the counter, because that was probably the most embarrassing drop of late.
Okay. So, do you feel comfortable going with that first memory?
It was interesting, because the first, I wasn't expecting it to go there, so I think that's probably where we need to go.
Okay.
Even as we're talking, I would say the worst carries most charge, but you know what we teach. Let's go with the first and see what happens.
Okay. So before we jump into any reprocessing, walk me through kind of maybe top 3 or 4 techniques that you currently use to be able to stabilize, that you've already have prepared.
Yeah. Well, the Asatoma prayer, which is a huge prayer in the spiritual tradition I practice. I was just sharing with a friend today about how I pray that prayer no less than 4 or 5 times a day.
Okay.
Which is divine, lead me from the unreal to the real, from darkness into the light, and from time-bound consciousness to the timeless state of being that I am. And so really any of my spiritual practices with yoga, I do japa meditation, asana practice, breath practice, chanting, all of that. So that's more than 3.
Yes.
But those are specific to yoga. So reaching out to my friends.
So you got a good toolbox to work with.
Yeah, I'm pretty, as you would say, skilled up.
Yes, pretty skilled up.
In your work.
So for our work today, what would be one of those that you would like to return to? Should activation become too much? Should you need to do a stop? Or give me a signal?
Yeah, because I would definitely give you like this for pause. Like I just need a breath.
Okay.
Because often I just need to catch my breath and look around and ground. Because even when I do reprocess, I'd like to keep my eyes closed, but I can get a little floaty. So sometimes it's like, just need the minute, and this would be a full-on stop. Definitely grounding me, just doing this kind of scan the room works. Doing the Asatoma prayer, like I mentioned, and probably, some yoga pose that I'm feeling in the moment, or we can dance or something like that.
Okay, sounds good. Ready to rock?
Let's rock.
All right. So we're going to look at the target of the first time you learned how to ice skate. Okay. So looking back on it now, what image represents the worst part of the target?
I can see myself, we have to talk this out a little bit. I could see myself clinging to the boards for dear life. The Rocky Ridge Ice Rink where I learned to skate. I'm still wearing like this maroon coat that I remember having. I could see like the skates kind of, that's the worst part. The skates kind of out from under me. And I could see Carrie Ann, I could see my dad on the sides getting frustrated. Jeez, I'm trying to. Yeah, it's seeing them getting frustrated.
Okay. When you bring up that image now, what is the negative belief about yourself that goes along with it?
I am uncoordinated. Because that plagued me throughout my skating. When I skated and competed, and I'm uncoordinated, I'm not naturally athletic.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm uncoordinated. Yeah.
Okay. When you bring up the image of the target, what would you like to believe about yourself now?
Probably something like, I can handle myself. Because like I am coordinated doesn't, probably I can handle myself.
Okay.
But I don't know where that's gonna go.
It's all right. All right, so as you look back on the image now, what is your gut level feeling of how true that positive belief is right now, with 1 being completely false and 7 being completely true?
3.
What emotions do you feel when you link the image with the negative belief of I am uncoordinated?
Wow. I can't even really put words.
And you don't have to.
Just like I'm an embarrassment to myself. I know that's almost a cognition too, but like embarrassing. Like,
okay.
Like I'm embarrassed. Almost disgusted with myself.
Okay. What is your level of disturbance as you bring up the image, the negative belief, and all the emotions together, with 0 being no disturbance or neutral, and 10 being the worst that you can imagine?
It's middle of the road, about a 5.
Okay. What are you noticing in your body in this moment as you bring up the image, the negative belief, and the emotions all together?
My stomach feels like it has a pit in it.
Okay. So bring up the body sensations together with the negative belief of I am uncoordinated and the image of the target memory. Notice whatever you notice.
I gotta change the negative cognition.
Okay.
It's I'm an embarrassment to myself.
I'm an embarrassment to myself.
Yeah. That feels
even more.
Ugh.
Okay. Well then let's do that. So I am an embarrassment to myself. So let's do this. What is your level of disturbance as you bring up the image, the negative belief, all the emotions together, with 0 being no disturbance or neutral, 10 being the worst that you can imagine?
It's a little higher, it's a 7.
Okay.
And I already feel it linking into the being with the fastball stuff.
Okay. What are you noticing in your body in the moment as you bring up the image, the negative belief, and all of the emotions together?
Yeah, it's still the pit with a little bit of twinging in the chest.
Okay. So bring up the body sensation together with the negative belief of I am an embarrassment to myself and the image of the target memory. Notice whatever you notice as we begin. a breath. What are you noticing?
That I probably need to leave my eyes open, even if I'm looking up, because I felt myself like getting floaty to not go there.
Okay.
So I'll look up, I think.
Let's go with that. Take a breath. What are you noticing now?
I'm just so fucking awkward. Like I can see that maroon coat and this horrible hair I had with the beanie cap on outside. And I mean, there's other stuff connected to that I don't want to say out loud, but it's just like I'm so fucking awkward.
Let's go with that. Breath.
That's interesting. That went to a different picture of me that I actually have. I could show you later. Of me skating on that same ice rink when I'm 13. When I know what I'm doing. When I'm doing like this beautiful spin. And I love that picture because it's me in one of my freest states. And I don't really know why the picture's coming up other than, and there's a lot of other good memories tied to that picture because, you know, high school got better. And I was in high school. Maybe I was more like 14, 15. I was 14. Yeah, it's still just that picture.
Let's go with that.
You know, I had those like flying 90s cheese poof things going back and forth in the picture. And swishy pants.
What do you notice?
Dad saying you're not really an athlete, which is something he said to me around that time. And it's weird because, I mean, you know, we've had a complicated relationship. And on one hand, I know he was very proud of me for learning how to skate. And he did a lot to support that. But I remember one time around that same time, when I was about 14, I referred to myself as an athlete. And he said, you're not a real athlete.
Let's go with that. What do you notice?
So I just went into this whole kind of long parade of body shame stuff. Yeah, because when I did figure skate, I mean, I was usually one of the bigger girls, you know, at camps or in my class or in my club, and I had lost a considerable amount of weight between my 7th and 8th grade year, but even still, you know, going from 165 to 135 pounds, that was still heavy for skating. And, you know, it's just things. So I know not to give the whole like litany of where it went. I guess where it landed with is like my body is awkward. My heavy body is awkward. It always has been. It just always has been.
Let's go with that. What are you noticing?
Weird. Eighth grade, about a year before that picture. I'm still kind of in it right now. I was on a class field trip to Pittsburgh and I fell and hit my head. We were at some kind of public park and I think, but I'm not sure, my mom took me to the ER that night to get it checked. And my dad made the comment, well, did you fall down these stairs in the park? It was a bean with a head and a fastball comment. You know, because you were like kind of off in another world. That's what he said. And the weird thing was, what I was doing in that park on those steps was skating things.
So you want to go with that?
Yeah.
How are you feeling about being present? Do you feel like you need to keep eyes open or doing okay?
Just, yeah, I'm gonna keep my eyes open.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go with that.
Yeah, it's not shame, because I don't, you know, I've worked through having shame about being a dissociative person, but I think it's embarrassment, because, like, sometimes I can feel like I'm demanding or I'm being a diva if I tell facilities I gotta be able to get in early to do my grounding and to make sure I'm there and
Let's go with that.
yeah. I have to close my eyes, but let me know if it gets bad. Because it's embarrassed about needing to say what I feel.
Let's go with that. What are you noticing?
I can't put words to it.
Okay. What are you noticing now?
I'm floaty.
Hmm? Do you need a pause? Stop?
No, I'll just keep my eyes open on this one.
Okay.
Looking ahead.
Okay. Go. Take a breath.
That was cool. Because as you know, I kind of identify having this 4-year-old ego state, 9-year-old ego state. Oh God, the 9-year-old was amazingly awkward. When I was actually 9, it was probably one of my most awkward years. And a lot of the healing I've done is to help her heal that. And it was just both of them telling my adult self, we're very proud of you.
You want to go?
Yeah, I do. So, I know I don't have to recount the whole thing, but I just want to share this, that at one point the 4-year-old kind of said, like, you fucking learned how to skate, like, well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, you learned how to spin and jump and,
Sure.
you know, and think of, like, where you came from being at the boards to what you were able to learn how to do. And then that went to, I recently found a picture of myself at about 6. Which was, you know, in that super duper awkward cauldron of years between about like 4 and 14. And yeah, it was from my brother's baptism, and it was this picture of me at 6, and I had seen other pictures from that event before and had always judged myself as like super awkward. And as I was going through some old photos, I found a new picture from that event. And it just struck me as like, I was a beautiful child. it was seeing myself in a new light, looking at that photo that I had not kind of consciously remembered. Mm-hmm. And so I have it on my studio. I'm probably going to do something with it, art piece wise. Mm-hmm. But it just kind of came to that picture of me being able to claim like I was a beautiful child, mm-hmm. even with my awkwardness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let's do this. Let's check back in.
Okay.
Let's check back in and see kind of where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you return to the target image where we began, mm-hmm. what is your level of distress in this moment, with 0 being no disturbance or neutral, 10 being the worst that you can imagine?
It's down. It's a 2.
Okay. What do you feel keeps it from being a 0?
It's still a little bit of, because I look at myself and it looks precious. Mm. It's still more of this look of disappointment. And I want to be clear, like Carrie Ann was not a bad babysitter or anything. But I think it was like even how we can feel teaching, just a little bit of that frustration of teaching like, a kid something new. Like, come on, Jamie, you almost had it. But yeah, just seeing that frustration, seeing my dad's frustration, and it's just connecting to some other teachers I've had over the years who I think have gotten frustrated with me.
Okay, so let's go with that.
All right. Well, that was funny because where I got to was like, gosh, looking at Carrie Ann and that helps me feel how I feel teaching people sometimes.
Okay.
So I know that's like completely innocuous. My dad's still sticking a little bit.
Okay.
And I'm hearing again, beamed in the head with the fastball.
Okay, let's go with that.
Which is odd because baseball consistently has been one of our common tongues over the years. Wow. Ooh.
Breath.
And that landed on a memory of when I was playing Little League softball. You know, again, was never really great, but I enjoyed doing it. And this one time, I forget exactly how old I was, but I dropped the most routine fly ball when I was in the outfield. And even afterwards, like, you know, he was never one of those real super sports parents because he knew I was, like, not at that level to be, you know, this great as we've discussed. But it was, come on, he's like, Jamie, I know you know how to catch those.
So you want to go with that?
Yeah. And that's the dropping shit. Oh. But then that goes to, keep tapping, about 3 years later when I was 12, it was the last year I played at that division. One of the proudest things ever was that I played first base. And my only really job at playing first base was to catch the damn ball when it was thrown to me to get somebody out. So like in that 3-year period, I learned how to catch a ball. Yeah, why am I still really unkind to myself when I drop my keys?
Go with that.
Because I'm still associating with that there's something wrong with my body. So it's like I can learn, I can adapt, all that's cool, but there's something wrong with my body.
Breath.
That's still that. There's something wrong with my body.
Okay. Let's go with that. What are you noticing now?
It landed on this memory of when I was in the Caribbean, probably about 6, 7 years ago. And this one like hiking tour guide that my friend Maureen and I went with, he just could not stop commenting about my weight. And like was talking to Maureen in my earshot about like, does she know there are things she can do and stuff like that? And yeah, I was lagging behind a little bit on the hike as I usually have, but what I showed myself that day was I could still do it. I just may need a little more time or a little more modification, even if I choose not to modify my body in any way. Because on one hand, I'm kind of like icked and ashamed this is coming up because I'm all about like body love, and I feel fundamentally I do accept my body and my sexuality and all of this, but maybe the issue is more about it's still what other people think that bothers me when it comes to my body. I don't know.
Let's go with that.
Let's not even get started. All the times my father had commentary about my body and just other things I don't want to say.
Okay. Let's do a litmus test. Let's do a check back in, just to kind of see where it's landed.
Wow, there's something here.
Want to keep going? Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's go with that.
If your hands need a break, take it, but this is good. This position I'm in right now, I need to stay here for a bit.
Okay, you stay there. Let's take a breath. What are you noticing?
Yeah, this is a position I kind of often come into in EMDR when something's clearing.
Okay. I'll go with that.
Just that my body is beautiful, it's adaptable, but none of that will ever be good enough for my father. It's kind of like just, and so that's the way it is. Like, I'm not feeling a lot of distress with that, just
okay.
that.
Let's check in.
All right.
We'll see where we landed. All right. So when you return to the target image where we began, what is your level of distress in this moment? With 0 being no disturbance or neutral, 10 being the worst that you can imagine.
It's a 1.
Okay. What keeps it from being a 0?
I guess I'm just wondering if there's like a deeper cauldron of dad stuff that needs to be explored with that I'm like, I don't know if I'm pushing away or it needs to be opened up in other targets, but.
Okay. So for our work today.
We could go with it at a 1. I can ask myself. No, I mean I can ask what keeps it from being a 0.
Okay.
Because it's definitely dad related.
Okay. So dad related. Go with that. What are you noticing?
Something I don't want to say.
Okay. Let's go with that.
Honestly, what I'm getting is I'll never measure up to their standard, you know, mom and dad, because I certainly got my share of clumsy commentary from mom too, and that's okay. Like it really kind of feels like that's okay. Like I'll never have the body either of them want me to have either. That's okay, because it's no longer about pleasing them, and it probably never really ever was.
Do you want to go with that?
Yeah. It felt good to say that.
What are you noticing now?
Oddest thing that came up, because obviously I know we're being filmed.
Yeah.
And there's this sense, even as I'm doing this, of, oh, I'm sure I look chubby on the camera, but who really cares?
Cares.
So, I felt good in my body.
Okay. So let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
When you return to the target image where we began, what is your level of distress in this moment? 0 is no disturbance or neutral. 10 is the worst that you can imagine.
I don't even see my dad on the sideboards. And that makes it a 0.
Okay. All right. So when you bring up the image, does the original positive belief that we have of I can handle myself, does that still fit? Or is there another positive belief that might fit better now?
I can handle myself fits, but I think there's one that's even better. I don't know if this is too bold, but I have an amazing body. You know, amazing in terms of, well, no, I'm not going to qualify it because I can, but it's just like I have an amazing body.
Yeah, it's your positive belief. You can make whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have an amazing body.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what is your gut level feeling of how true that positive belief is right now as you look back on the image, with 1 being completely false, 7 being completely true?
It's about a 6.5.
Okay.
And I know what you're going to ask me next.
What keeps it from being a 7?
I mean, the lingering essence is there's a little bit of it is like, oh, is that arrogant to say?
Okay.
You know, because there is that sense I want to qualify it. Like, you know, I have an amazing body. It's healthy. It's adaptable. You know, it's all this. And I know, you know, it's not in my spiritual beliefs to say I am an amazing body, because my body is just a thing of this life.
Okay.
But it has gotten me through a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And I fucking learned how to figure skate.
Yeah. With your body.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I drop my keys and drop my drinks all the time, and I still am on point at 8 o'clock to teach.
Yes. So the question is, what keeps it from being a 7, or do you feel like 6.5 is
6.5, and there's still that, you know, is it arrogant? Yeah.
Is it arrogant?
Yeah.
Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. I'd say keep going, because I was in the middle of something.
All right.
Yeah. Can't believe this is so weird to me. So it went to this song called Bodies, which is by a folk artist who does a lot of contemplative work that I like. And it's all about, like, I have a physical body, an emotional body. It's all about the koshas, you know, and the different layers of body. And when she's talking about the mind body, there's this line in the song where it's like, you know, I do this, I do this, I do this, and oh, I just found my lost keys. Like, as if to say that like, you know, misplacing stuff is part of what makes us brilliant.
I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah. So maybe it is just part of my whimsy to drop my keys and spill my coffee. A very dear person to me recently said something like, it's part of your charm. So it's just... It's a 7.
You're like, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
I have an amazing body. It's been through a lot, and it's adapted to a lot, and it just is a lot, but I have an amazing body.
Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Place that positive belief of I have an amazing body together with the original image.
weird because as soon as you started tapping, it went to that representative from the agency that morning, and there was a little bit of this twinge of, oh, I felt her judging me. And it cleared, but I think like kind of moving forward, there's this is the reality of my life, that I put myself in positions for people to judge me all the time because I'm in business for myself and I'm a public person and I'm a teacher and all of this, and is it fair to say so what? Like,
let's go with that.
All right. And it's this like process I know I'm going to have to deal with more moving forward. Like I'm recognizing it even as my hands did this, of like navigating this interplay between being evaluated, not necessarily being judged.
Yeah.
Because I am constantly being evaluated. That's the nature of my life.
Sure.
Versus I can be human.
I say let's do one more.
All right.
Let's go with that.
Mm-hmm. I really like this picture my hand is making now. I'd like to receive the image when we're done.
Absolutely.
Have you take it. 'Cause
absolutely.
It looks like a house from this perspective, kind of with two chimneys on it. And I do this a lot where it's like there's this interplay. It's like there's a Dr. Jamie and a Jamie, and we're the same person, but there's two different hands that make her, and it's okay. I can love them both.
Okay. So now that the positive belief has been installed, what are you noticing as you scan the body?
It's this.
Okay.
It's this symbol here, and I think whenever I get overwhelmed, whenever because like even that morning, I made sure I still had that minute before I taught to like get myself, and I have to add this to my arsenal, to my toolkit.
Okay.
And my body, the rest of my body feels very present, very here in a way it wasn't, because I was getting a little floaty very early on in this.
So this feels very grounding.
Very grounding.
Okay.
And like my eyes feel very open, and
all right.
It's cool.
So from what I'm hearing, let's hold that clear body scan together with the original target and that positive belief of I have an amazing body. What are you noticing now?
It's this like idea of this is my expression, and then this is, it's home base. It's coming home. Oh, and just so many like spiritual cool things which I can share with you, because it's like left and right, masculine, feminine. This is Hanuman in the center, and it's the bridge.
Patanjali.
Yeah.
Snake of Kundalini.
Kundalini. This is really cool because as many things as I do with mudras and hands and all this exact position is not something I've ever really come into before.
Well, actually, now that I'm looking at it, if we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's the
chakras.
The chakras. Can we go with that? Let's go with that.
I like it.
Cool. So it seems to me, from what you're telling me, that body's clear. How would you say that you're feeling in this moment?
Very grounded.
Okay.
Very and I think you know this too, when you can get into an EMDR, like, where the heck did all this connect and come from? And this is not anything, believe it or not, I've consciously worked on before.
Sure.
As much EMDR as I've done.
Sure.
And yeah, I mean, I guess since the intention that brought me here was like how I kind of behave in the morning with trainings, I mean, I'm just curious to see like how using this skill, you know, and we'll see. But overall, I feel a real sense of, like, it's huge that I no longer see my dad on the boards when I bring up that memory. Just, yeah, you were this awkward little bean who learned how to skate.
So for closure, do you feel like there's anything that you need? Is there a skill that you would like to revisit? Would you like some debriefing of what possibly could happen between sessions? What do you think that you need for closure?
I think I'm good on what could happen because we've done enough of this.
Yes.
Yeah. Will you just kind of hold this with me?
I'd love to.
Maybe take some. Well, let's do some. I'll let you guide me, but let's
Sure.
do some breaths together with this.
Okay. Let's do an inhale. And let it go. Inhale. Let it go. One more. Inhale. Let it go.
I just want to do the prayer.
Let's do it.
Lead me from the unreal to the real, from darkness into the light, and from time-bound consciousness into the timeless state of being that I am. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Jamie.